While what we've done so far has pushed the Mustang and myself to our limits, we're going to go beyond those today because this is probably going to be the most grueling part of the series. And for that double XP of struggle, the AC no longer works, despite my efforts in the previous episode to bring it back to life. I also got to meet up with some great people. Jordan, Van, Kyle, thank you for being a part of this journey. And if you want to see me in a podcast completely fried because I was running off of back of the Mustang sleep, you can check out Spec reviews. But anyway, it's time to leave now. Before we continue, consider subscribing if you enjoy detailed, fun car content on new and old vehicles of every category. These type of videos get little attention compared to my regular reviews, so if you'd like to see more cool series like this, support me on Patreon. The next stop is in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I plan to investigate Antelope Island. The quickest way to get there is to drive north out of Colorado and then through the quite remote state of Wyoming. While in Colorado, I have to navigate the Mustang through the most intense winds of my trip. It is here where I think I've found another big reason that you should ditch your daily. My 4-cylinder Tacoma would have struggled enough lugging its portly ass around at this 7,000 feet plus elevation while going 70. Throw in 40-mile-per-hour crosswinds and it would have been all over the place and breaking world records for worst gas mileage from an inline 4. The Mustang's more wind-friendly figure, less weight, and 100 pound-feet more torque make it astronomically better for stressful highway cruising. So, despite my ears aging 10 years in 1 week, I'm happy to be in the cheap Ford with an unknown amount of miles and no AC. Now we're in Wyoming on a surprisingly busy highway for, the fact that there's like no gas stations out here, and really not much of anything else. We're still at a decent elevation. There was quite a bit of snow, and I don't think this would have handled that well, so I'm glad that we just missed it. Also, somehow, there's just cows. Like, I don't know who watches them. Like, they're just out here. While the mountains are pretty and the desolate appearance of Wyoming is gorgeous to me, the Wild West gets monotonous after a while. And I can't shake this feeling that for most of this Road to California episode, if the Mustang throws in the towel, I will be more out of luck than an unmarried Old Testament Bible character that isn't a virgin. Getting a tow from a major city is a lot cheaper than a tow from a place with no resources for 50 miles. For perspective here, Rhode Island is about 1% the size of Wyoming, but has roughly twice the population. In fact, if everyone on campus at the university I went to in Indiana moved to Wyoming, the state's population would increase by over 8%. The Mustang trudges on with temp levels still below normal as we enter Utah. Once over the state lines, things seem to get greener as I go through numerous valleys. Eventually I near Salt Lake City, but I quickly realize I've messed up my navigation. With the entrance to Antelope Island an hour out, no planned reservations, and daylight becoming a limited luxury, I had to postpone that adventure. After eating at a local deli, I begin to head out for the next camp spot. Through billboards that were literally a few hundred feet apart, I got a good look at the dichotomy between uber-religious Utah, a place where caffeine can be ungodly, and Nevada, where legal prostitution and gambling are pretty normal. Before I can cross state lines, I get off the highway to sleep near a high radiation site with hopes to go from Tyler Parker to Peter Parker. So just because I don't know when to stop, where we're camping at today is technically an off-road park. Please don't scrape. Yeah, okay. It's just up this hill. Keyword up. Up the hill. Oh, this is dumb. Oh, why am I doing this? All right, so we're gonna try a different route. The back of shame here. Honestly, I might just, if I can't get up this, I might just try to snag that. I'm not sure if that's technically a camping spot, but it looks nice and comfy and safe.
Head west on County Road 02764, TCO 2764, then turn left. Take the next right, then continue straight.
Okay, yeah, we gonna camp over there. Because now that it also says closed to target shooting, so I don't want to be a target. And I wonder why the Mustang keeps developing new noises. I stopped back at the clearing to camp, where I noticed that there are numerous ants in the area that look a little bitey. So it seems like it is time to camp in the Mustang again, but instead of sleeping in the back, I just recline the passenger seat and bundle up. While not horribly uncomfortable, the loneliness is making me a little uneasy, but not as much as this feeling that I need to be working. After 7 days, it's starting to feel like I'm squandering the momentum that I've gained from impressive view numbers since I started doing this full time in December. All I can do is watch my view count drop day by day while I'm spending copious amounts of money and unable to make any relevant car reviews that would make me more money. Sprinkle in the fun thought of, assuming you survive, it would be over $2,000 to ship your car and yourself home if it breaks down somewhere remote, and we have the recipe for a desert spiral. My mind is turning out to be the thing breaking me down more than the challenge itself. I think even if I can make it back to Indiana miraculously with no major issues, what's next? I fall asleep eventually and wake up in a literal cold sweat. It is 5:30 a.m. here. My GoPro is about to die. I am cold, but surprisingly I slept better. Just this time I just hopped in the passenger seat and reclined it all the way back, and it went back further than I remembered, and had the pillow, covered myself in like my really warm jacket and my blanket. That wasn't that bad. If you get a Mustang and you have both of your front seats, could be a viable solution to 2 people sleeping in here. Let's go. Starts up. First time. Oh, trusty old gal. Over the night, I came to the conclusion that I might have an uphill battle ahead of me, but I need to stay on the bright side. When I get back, I need to be ready to work and strategize, but there's nothing for me to do now except have a good time. 1 week into the trip and I feel refocused. Now I'm on my way to the Bonneville Salt Flats. Technically a raceway, it's this magical place where you can drive as fast as you want given the right conditions, which I did not have. Alright, so I am now in Wendover, which is where the Bonneville Salt Flats are. Except you're not really supposed to drive on them if it's raining, or if it has rained recently. And as I was driving here, the hour and 15 minutes away from where I slept, it started raining. So I'm still gonna do it, which is stupid, but I am gonna let it dry off a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to do a little bit of editing on my laptop at a Starbucks, but the Starbucks is in a casino. So we're going to the casino. Man, those are big ass birds. So we are currently approaching the Bonneville Salt Flats here next to Wendover, Nevada, technically in Utah. Wow. It sure is flat. It's technically a speedway, so I don't really know what to expect. The GPS took me to the wrong place, so basically I'm just following the Bonneville Speedway road. It kind of just looks like it ends. There's people walking, but I'm not sure we can drive on it. Might be just a little bit too wet. Well, this kind of sucks. We've always really wanted to drive on these, but I guess we can't do it today. It's probably going to be the only time the Mustang, unless you guys really want another Mustang series, it'll probably be the only time that the Mustang will come out here.
5 minutes later.
That's too anticlimactic. Ooh, this is kind of rough though. Well, can't say that I want to go fast. That was one of the dumber things I've done. It's extraordinary to be on this old lake bed because it is incomprehensibly flat. However, driving on it while wet throws salt into about every crevice and makes it unsafe at high speed. Since I can't go full send out here today, I decided that I should still follow through on my plan to film an April Fool's video. But in light of the aforementioned internal struggle, I'm going to create this comedic little gotcha skit with some film student symbolism and background meaning. The video will be out for a while by the time this is released, so I'll have it linked below. Pretty much every part of the video is somewhat related to this toxic tendency I feel that I and quite a few others have when it comes to achieving goals and pushing myself. I feel that we can get so fixated on not only where we think we need to go, but also obsess on getting there the way that we have envisioned, to the point where we just make it needlessly hard on ourselves. And I really tried to make every shot sort of related to that premise, so check it out and let me know what you think. But disclaimer, I'm not an actor, so forgive me. I also hope it's funny. I was still shooting for that too. But what was less than hilarious was the aftermath of driving on the salt flats. The first thing I did was haul ass to a car wash. The car wash actually did get most of the salt off of the exterior of the car. I then went around with a microfiber cloth and just kind of rubbed the wheel wells and areas that I think would probably be prone to rusting to try to get off some of that excess salt. But really, if you're gonna drive on that any time of the year, you should really wash the underside of the car pretty thoroughly when you're done. The salt also got into every part of the engine bay too, so I did a more thorough job later. At this point, the squeak from the throwout or input shaft bearing is getting quite loud. Before I get out of Wendover, I stop at a gas station / Arby's / casino for food, fuel, and to enjoy the most pure form of American spirit. Graphic t-shirts that make you want to open carry a 12 gauge and start a trucking company with your wife, who's also a truck. Now I'm leaving the town of Wendover and heading for Reno, Nevada. Now I was actually going to camp here, except apparently there's an ordinance in Reno that kind of prevents you from camping or tent camping or camping in your car. I actually just booked a hotel, and since it's a gambling town, most of the time you can get into a place really cheap. Like Las Vegas is the same way, but I mean, this was a last minute booking and it was $55 after taxes and fees and everything. So I'll have a nice bed and shower and free breakfast. It's gonna be quite the time. Although Google reviews kind of tell me that this one ain't it. Although it sure as hell beats probably the worst thing to happen on a vacation behind losing your kid at the exotic animal zoo. And that's rolling through a town or city late at night and not having a place to sleep. And anything beats sleeping in the passenger seat for 2 nights in a row. The Mustang and I press on with good gas mileage in mind as we are approaching $5 a gallon for the first time during the trip. After one full tank, I got an average of 28 miles per gallon. The elevation changes didn't help this cause, but the surrounding mountains made for a gorgeous drive. In fact, I constantly found myself repeating that word, but seriously, stunning. Also stunning was how the Mustang, despite a drag race, high elevation, 10 hours of driving on multiple days, and a thorough coating of salt, was still running strong and cool. The road to Reno gives me more Old West vibes than Wyoming. Maybe that's because most of the gas stations off of the major highways also provided some form of gambling. Reno, on the other hand, felt like the Aldi's version of Vegas. After waiting 45 minutes to check in, I realized why the hotel was $55. While the interior appears recently remodeled, my skin now reeks of smoke and only the bathroom light works. The building itself looks like it had seen true war. Like, even the stairs, when you step on them, move. And they're metal, so I never checked the Google reviews, but the overall consensus was probably somewhat accurate. After taking a little stroll through Reno and bringing the Mustang to the extremely helpful Keystone self-serve car wash, I booked it for California. I just stopped to have a Lunchables, yogurt, and warm coffee brunch, but as we leave the state, I want to make a couple notes. One, it's not all desert. In fact, a lot of it was pretty green and just mountainous. Unfortunately, it wasn't all good. Reno is kind of a weird city, and almost like Vegas had a more sketchy stepson. Although I will have to note, I only got one rash or bug bite from the cheap hotel, so that's a dub for me. I was thinking at least 2 or 3. Unfortunately, it seems like another mostly driving day, but I did set my GPS to somewhere pretty special, so hopefully the Mustang can make it. And then after that, it's LA, baby. Now I was driving over the mountains. At around 9,000 feet above sea level, the Mustang becomes more sluggish, but at no point feels overwhelmed. Still, I'm able to recognize her limitations. Like if a snowmobile is headed where I want to go, I probably shouldn't follow. You definitely notice the road just being almost encapsulated by snow, even though it's, short sleeve weather right now. Also, that's kind of why I have the sunglasses on, because it can get so bright. But it's also interesting to see all of the trees and stuff that were burned at some point by some sort of fire. These hills are just so dry. Beautiful though, very beautiful. And I keep saying that. I keep driving through new places and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And maybe it's because the scenery is different from what I'm used to, which is manufacturing plants, corn, and potholes. After a while, I start to descend. Once on the other side of the mountains, the dryness goes away and it's like I've entered another world. The landscape and just my surroundings become saturated to the point where it feels fake, and it's almost like everything remains still. So we are northwest of Sacramento right now. It is stunning over here. I keep calling everything gorgeous, but the roads here too are great. And in the last episode, off camera, Van told me about this, that Colorado, everything is really dry. And I was like, oh, I guess I never really noticed that. And now coming here, just on the other side of the mountains, it's such a big difference. And it only got better as I drove further from larger towns. This is an awesome area, and I really am enjoying driving through it because it's just so pretty. And there's not really any potholes, but the road here is just so, poorly paved. But man, it's not gonna say it. Not gonna say it. This is so beautiful, but so painful. The next couple hours consisted of more amazing scenery, many valleys, and deep conversation with myself at a Planet Fitness regarding the best way to fundraise for a move to California. After a good workout and shower, I made my way toward my destination for the night, Sequoia National Park. This is what it's like to drive the Mustang at night. As you will notice, the gauge cluster lights do not work. I mean, it's not like the speedometer works anyway, but if I want to, check my levels, flip on the little dome light here, which only works on the passenger side, and now I can check my fuel, my coolant temperature, my battery, whatnot. The headlights themselves are not really that good, so whenever I can, I try to use my brights. And out here on the freeway, it can be a little bit intimidating. The nice thing about the Mustang is that the visibility out of this thing is actually pretty good for a muscle car, I would say. Additionally, I really need to get back into my California driver mode, which means going 15 over at all times and disregarding everyone else, because it's almost dangerous to not drive like that here. With that in mind, I pick up the pace. I very quickly begin to climb elevation again. One moment I see the 2,000-foot elevation sign. Soon I pass 4,000, then 5,000. 6,000, rarely noticing any other cars as I pass through the entrance to the park without paying. I feel in over my head after seeing the campground road blocked off. Alone with spotty cell service, I take off for whatever campsite I can find at this point. Finally, I come across an open campground. So I'm at the campground right now. I'm definitely the only person here. Oh no, there's someone there. Oh, there's another person. Okay, we're not alone. Deposit fee. Well, first I need to find a spot. Damn! Yeah, I got here pretty f***ing late, and I might not be able to get a spot. I'm gonna nab that spot right there. Just right next to that van. And hopefully nobody notices or cares. If you wanted to know how I slept the last 2 nights where I was camping, a really warm winter jacket, insulating me, blanket, and that's chance.
Surprisingly, the seat is usually pretty comfortable. We're at like an angle, so I'm kind of just resting in the crevice of this door, but it is a little after 7 a.m. and this campground was definitely full last night. I am parked kind of just in a little nook next to someone else. So I'm going to get on the road as fast as possible and maybe nobody will notice. They'll notice when I turn on the car, but we're going to skedaddle right after that. I don't know why I said that.
I am so sorry. You know what? Let me see if I can, like, roll back. No, we aren't. And low oil. But it's probably because I'm at an angle right now. I take the Mustang to a picnic area and bust out the world's smallest stove to make some oatmeal and clean myself up. With the Mustang full of oil and me full of oats, it's time to check out Sequoia National Park, known for its outrageous sequoia trees. I went on a quick hike to see one of the park's main attractions, the General Sherman tree, and it is indeed massive. 36 feet in diameter at the base, but even 60 feet up, it's still over 17 feet in diameter, or about the length of my Toyota Tacoma. The top of the tree sits at 275 feet, which is tall, but there's another redwood much taller. However, this can boast the title of largest tree by volume, and it is a sight to behold. And there are so many other ridiculous trees in this grove, some of which are thousands of years old. One key aspect to the sequoia's long life is their thick bark, which helps keep the trees alive during fires. Additionally, these grow fast. Well, for a tree. After finding out I couldn't go through the drive-through tree thing this season, I grew bored and went back to these phenomenal roads. These roads are definitely the best that I've driven so far. The views here, oh my gosh. I'll insert a couple shots, but right now, I mean, I don't really want to do too much talking or filming. Before I do that, I'd love to say this is not how a stock Mustang handles. This angle kit really brings the car alive. It is a blast through here. I mean, it's still not super precise. Play in the steering, but it is quick in terms of the steering ratio. Oh my god, that takes the cake in reviews. I don't even want to drive fast now, I just want to look at that. That is stunning. God damn it, I can't keep saying that, but I seriously am at a loss of words. And it got better and better. Considering the views, the road, and the car, this was one of my favorite drives ever. Incredibly relaxing too. I even pulled over to check out a small waterfall. Outside of clipping a rock with the exhaust in a violent manner, it was another one of my favorite moments of the trip. As I was leaving, I took a brief hike to a big waterfall where I pushed my luck and hopped onto a giant boulder. With that out of my system, my next destination is Los Angeles, a few hours away. While it might have not seemed like it for you guys, this was probably the most challenging episode yet to make. Especially before the Bonneville Salt Flats and the day at the Bonneville Salt Flats. This is just... like, I never expected it to make it this far. I mean, I wanted it to, but, like, just the realistic part of me was really thinking, maybe Colorado. I didn't even know if I would be able to make it this far, to be honest, but here we are. Anyway, there's 2 really important tests coming up for the Mustang that you're not going to want to miss, especially if you made it this far in the series. And we're also going to explore California and learn how to surf. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, I have no sponsors here, so please consider following me on Patreon, where you'll receive exclusive benefits, but also you get to help me make more content that isn't just car reviews, even though I enjoy doing those, but I really want to branch out. Ultimately, I'd love to do a mixture of, cool, pushing the limits type of things like this and reviews. So thank you, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll catch you in the next one.